Hello, everyone. My name is Radka, obviously, and I'm going to be talking about the contemporary myths about the artificial intelligence. But before I do this, I would like to present myself a little bit. I'm actually not a student of the Czech Technical University now. I study at the Charles University in Prague at the Faculty of Philosophy. And I'm working as a communication manager for a bunch of students who are developing the artificial intelligence for Amazon Alexa. Actually, it's for the Amazon Alexa Prize, the competition of university teams. And the purpose of this competition is to develop the artificial intelligence that is able to communicate with a human being on the popular topic, so the conversational AI. Actually, when I started to work with these guys, I had a lot of questions, and I understood that I had a really lot of misconceptions about artificial intelligence. I realized that deep learning or machine learning is actually not the artificial intelligence itself, and that artificial intelligence is something much more than this concept. So I decided to make clear that there are some myths and why these myths are currently in the society. It's like those things that artificial intelligence is going to kill us all and something like that. So now, I would ask you to forget everything you know about the technical point of view of artificial intelligence. That means just try for a little bit, think more like a philosopher, not as a technical person. And then we can start. So the contemporary myths about the artificial intelligence. Firstly, we have to know what artificial intelligence actually is. I will show you three different concepts, three different definitions. The first two of them are actually the legal ones, and they are pretty recent. The first one, this one, is from the House of Lords in the Great Britain, and it's from 2017. And the second one is from the European Commission from 2018. As you can see, it's necessary now to think what artificial intelligence really look like and what it actually is. And if you look at those two definitions, you can see that it's some kind of technology that can process data, and also it's supposed to be able to make the same thing as a human being, in the sense that it's supposed to be able to make the activity or to do things where we actually need the intelligence of a human being. We can discuss a lot what does this mean, but we will get to it now. And also there is a level of autonomy in it. That means that it can somehow be an autonomous system. Also, it's really vague. We don't know what to actually expect from this. And there is one really famous definition from 1950, which is actually the first one, and it reduces the artificial intelligence to something that can actually lead a conversation with a human being. And this thing is supposed to trick the other person so that the person would think that the artificial intelligence is actually a human being. So we are still trying to revive this concept of artificial intelligence as something that is really close and really related to the intelligence of human being. And now here comes my first question. When will we develop a general AI? Actually, this question may sound pretty ridiculous. I think even more if you're really into machine learning, and if you really do stuff around artificial intelligence, because it's pretty far away, and we will look on the reason why it's that. So there is some early hype about the artificial intelligence. You can see that people were really enthusiastic, and they were pretty positive about the development itself. That means that in 1963, there was a guy, he was called McCarthy, and he said that there's going to be something like general AI, or really close to general AI, in just a decade. But in 1970, Marvin Minsky said that it will take 3 to 8 years. But the common response when it comes to the researchers was, give us 15 years. But now we are in 2018, and we are not practically even close to what we could consider as a general artificial intelligence. So why has not it come yet? What happened? Why we are so far away? The point is that we're trying to come up with something which is actually better than us. It's not us, it's not our copy. It's a copy of some kind of a superhuman. And this kind of concept of a superhuman, but with just a human brain, is actually where all those myths come from, as we will see in a few minutes. So this concept of a superhuman being has been there since the humankind is there. So that means it's from the ancient Greeks. We can see a lot of demigods that has these superpowers, and people are tried. Even in Czech history, we have the golem, who's supposed to be some kind of a better person and a more stronger one. Also, we can see the RUR from 1920s. Which actually predicted some ethical problems that we are solving or trying to solve now when it comes to artificial intelligence. Now let's come to the myth itself. So now we are trying to overcome 3 myths about the general AI. The first one is that the human intelligence is general, and we can somehow imitate it. The second one is that the AI can be human-like. And the third one is that the AI will take over us all. That means that it will kill us, probably, one day. But let's see. So let's move to the first one. Human intelligence is general, and we can somehow make the same thing as a human brain, and it's supposed to work. Let's look at this. Actually, as I told before, we are trying to do a prototype of a human brain, but we want to be the best one. We want to have like all the best brains on one particular one, which is going to be the artificial intelligence. But how does it look like? How the best person, how the ideal person, the most intelligent one actually look like? And we know that there is the one epistemological problem, and that is what actually is knowledge and what actually is intelligence itself. Philosophers have doubted and discussed this topic for centuries, and now we are trying to do this in just a few years. Also, now we know how to process something which is called cognition. That means that we know how to take the input and then to process it somehow and have the output that we really want to have. The output's supposed to be some kind of a human-like output. That means that it's supposed to be the intelligence itself, but we don't know what actually is happening between this like input and output. Now, I would like to present to you the stages of artificial intelligence from one of the biggest critiques of the artificial intelligence development in the last 50 years. And he's called Dreyfus. And every single time somebody had some paradigm about artificial intelligence, he was just like, no, just try a different way. And he was a really big fan of Heidegger. So everything started with something which is called symbolic artificial intelligence, the good old-fashioned artificial intelligence. And after a few years of development, people just realized that it's not what they were just looking for. The point is that it was something which was made out of rules, made out of symbols, and if-then model that produced the knowledge itself. Unfortunately, it came to the point where there were like really good expert systems, but we all know that now it's not working so much. So the paradigm had to shift, and it shifted to the modeling of the brain itself. But it's pretty hard when it's like 1960s, 70s, and you're trying to like do something as a human brain. It's pretty complex. So the researchers were just like, yeah, try to do mouse, and it's going to be fine because, Darwin and everything like that. And if we do mouse, we can just like add things, and then we have a human being. Actually, that's not it. we can see how it's supposed to look like, and actually we're really far away. So the whole thinking has to change again. And it actually changed to the modeling of the world. The modeling of the world is really cool, but when researchers started to model the world, they decided to have like a really particular model somewhere inside the computer, and the fact was that everything was fine when it was inside the computer, but the real world is somehow more complex than the one which researchers were able to actually develop. So there is, Dreyfus said, that the biggest problem is that the best model of the world is the world itself. But like, what can you do with this? It's just like so, vague and broad. So we have still this this modeling of the world inside the artificial intelligence, but the next concept is more related to the human brain itself, and that is the neurodynamics. That means that you are trying to actually imitate what's happening in the mind by neural networks, and you are trying to really figure out what's happening. Unfortunately, because when you are processing all these data, you need a really lot of them. And if you do not have a lot of them, there are so many consequences that can happen. And actually, one of my favorites is this example. This is the artificial intelligence made by Microsoft, and they decided to put it on Twitter and try what will happen if the users of Twitter are going to chat with this artificial intelligence, and they wanted her to learn from the users. Actually, after just 24 hours, it became a totally disaster, and it wanted to kill everybody, it wanted to rule the world, and stuff like that. So then they decided to edit some of these tweets, and that was really funny. People were mad about it because it was so funny after 24 hours. So there was a hashtag called Justice for Thai, which is just like, let the artificial intelligence speak. But then Microsoft killed this artificial intelligence. Unfortunately, it did twice, but now it lives somewhere in the museum because some art people just came and they were just like, yeah, revive it again. So they did. Now let's come to the second one, which is closely related to the first one, and that is that the artificial intelligence can be actually like a human. That means that it can feel, or it can have emotions, or it can act like a human. The problem is that we can really understand what it means. So there are a lot of ethical problems related to artificial intelligence in that point. We don't know, and we don't want to have another toy. We don't want another autonomous kind of Terminator to kill us all. Also, there is a big ethical problems with the army conflicts. We don't know if the artificial intelligence is supposed to be able to decide if somebody should die or not, and if it really had to decide for us. Also, there is a huge media interpretation. That means that media are trying to scare us all that it will kill us, that it will take our jobs, and also that the artificial intelligence is really close to something which is called general AI, but it actually is not, and it's getting bigger and bigger. You can see it everywhere. And also, there is a huge related problem, which is the human-computer interaction, and the problem that is about if the artificial intelligence should behave as a human being. Actually, there were several studies who found out that people are not so happy if they're speaking with a robot and they do not know it's actually a robot. So that's a big question. Should we try to invent something which is actually like a human being? Or should we do something which is more like a tool, more like a robot, more like something that is just for some use and can, for example, have the normal conversation with us? Yeah, and we have the famous Google duplex here. Actually, this was something that caused such a hysteria all over the world. People are just like, what just happened? Like now it can speak to me and I even don't know that it's artificial intelligence because they didn't have all this background that you need a really lot of data to be processed to actually create something like this. So this is quite good if you want to go to the restaurant or if you want to have the appointment for your haircut, but it won't have the best conversation in your life. You can't fall in love with this. It's just like, yeah, now it's working, but that's it. But internet is big, so people try to do a lot of stuff. This is just like a random image from the Google. And people are so afraid of new technologies, as we can see every single day. And it was really a storm on the internet back then. The third myth is that the artificial intelligence will take over our world soon. To this, as I said before, we have too many scary reports about the too anonymous artificial intelligence that can kill us all, that could decide for us, and we don't know what to do. There are so many people who are against artificial intelligence. It's, for example, Hawking, it's Gates, it's the open letter to the United Nations about the killer robots made by Elon Musk. And we can just like, if you think about it a little bit, you can be scared, but is it really the problem now? Or should it be even like, because we are at the beginning of artificial intelligence, should we like consider all these ethical problems, all these problems about the killing, all these problems about how it decides for us? And also there is a huge thing about the artificial intelligence in the workplace, like how many workplaces are going to be destroyed, how many jobs are going to be created. Nobody knows. There are so many futurologists who are always thinking about that. And for example, Bill Gates said that it's just like, yeah, it's going to be really bad. It's just kill us all at the end. So now we're getting to, this is from the very famous movie, which is called Her. And the problem is that if it can be like a human being, if it actually can be like a superhuman, if it's supposed to be a tool, or if it's supposed to be something which can be actually our friend, something which can be on the same level as us. And also there is a big question, like if it's going to be more intelligent than us, it can just go away. It can just decide to go away. And the same thing happened in the movie. Basically, spoiler alert, the artificial intelligence at the end just went off. It was just like, yeah, we don't want to be with human beings anymore. We are just more than them, so why would we spend our time with them? So the question is, what are we actually trying to develop? And the thing is that this, what I was talking about, is the bigger concept that actually is behind the artificial intelligence and how we think about it. Now we are using a little pieces of artificial intelligence in the research every single day. And we can do more advances in that point. But there is a need to switch the paradigm, to switch the idea again, because now we are at the end of the road and we have to just slightly change the way. Also, we can see, as Amar said, that we tend to overestimate the effect of technology in short run and underestimate the effect in long run. When I was speaking with a lot of people who are doing the artificial intelligence and who are developing it, they were telling me like, oh, ethics, we don't have to think about it. But actually, we have to, because the artificial intelligence, as we are like looking at it, as I was talking about it, is not presented in our lives yet, but small pieces are. And those small pieces are everywhere. And we have to think about it, because it more and more influenced our life, our everyday life. So in a short term, it's nothing. In the long term, it's going to more and more influence our decisions, because we are now use artificial intelligence when we are trying to search for information. And that means that our decision at the end is ours. It's not the artificial intelligence who's doing this for us, but we are still influenced very much. So what is actually going to be the next step? Minsky said that the only thing that now artificial intelligence need is the actually common sense. That means that it just, knows what to do when there is something that she didn't predict it, or it didn't predict it. So we can see that now there should be, supposed to be, another huge discussion, and it was at ATs, to not have another artificial intelligence winter, and not to just going around and just being in a circle of doing something which is called machine learning, deep learning, trying to enhance these concepts, but it's important to think about what is behind. And that's why I'm here. And also why we have been talking about these misconceptions. The point is that maybe you think it was all stupid, that you already heard all of these myths, that it was nothing new, and you don't know why people are believing these things. But the truth is that it's because people from the technical point of view, or the technicians, do not speak to other people. They do not speak loudly. They do not trying to tell people that it's completely different, that we are somewhere far away from this killing machine. For example, Google now said that they don't want to have the artificial intelligence or the artificial intelligence research to be used for the autonomous weapons. So we have to think and speak about these things more, because artificial intelligence is going to be in our lives every single day, and it's going to be even more visible for us. Thank you for your attention. Yeah.
Thank you, Radka. And let's have a look at the question. So one curious one, are you a developer? Can you code?
Okay, I'm not a developer, unfortunately. I can't code yet. But I really like working with the developers. It's really cool, and I think it's a new perspective. And I think that artificial intelligence is one of those small amount of fields where you can really use something else than to be a coder. So,
okay. Party time, not yet. Just wait a few minutes. Are you implying that only if humans are overperformed in all possible aspects, we are in trouble? I think only a single area is dangerous.
There is... Actually, I would suggest to read Heidegger. It's quite great. And he's actually discussing this question. And he said, which I think it's true, that we have to be free and we have to behave as we are free when it comes to technology. So it doesn't really matter if it overcomes us or overperforms us. The point is that we have to know that it overperforms us. And we have to know that it's important to think about it, and that we have to always know that it's better than us, and in which cases. So, yeah, read Heidegger. It's quite cool.
Okay. And maybe a question from my side. If you tell someone that you are working with artificial intelligence, do they try to discourage you? Are they afraid of it?
What, sorry, again?
For artificial intelligence, if you tell someone you are working or researching this, because people are scared, right? Some of them, they have respect for these things.
Oh, I haven't encountered this, actually. But it's quite funny because some of my colleagues are always a big skeptic when it comes to the artificial intelligence itself. So,
okay. But they are supporting you. Colleagues should be, right?
By the way, there's one of them, so if you want to discuss some developer thing, it's okay. I'll do.
Okay, Radka, thank you very much.